I almost forgot. Now we need to insert our image. So we need to type in units because our units are in US survey feet. Let's switch over to feet to X-reference our drone image in here. So our drone image is in an international foot drawing, and that's on purpose because our map insert image doesn't work in Civil3D. It does not translate correctly. So you can try it to prove me right or prove me wrong. That's up to you. But in my findings, I do not have a translation that can get me from one to the other, and so I have to make a international foot drawing, insert them, and then bind and explode into a survey foot drawing. So let's go ahead and do that. There's one additional step. So we are going to need our point here for our control because our image is at grid. Now you're going to need to get your point spreadsheet here and go to the point there. So this is 268 on the 24th. And we need to have our combined scale factor. If you don't have your combined scale factor turned on, you can set that here in the in the view, and then you go into your point spreadsheet and then scroll down to your combined scale factor. So we need this because if right now our combined scale factor is 1 because we've already brought it to ground, and so we actually need to retrieve this information out of our project here. So you just copy this combined scale factor out of here, and we can put this into our drawing. So in this case, then we're going to need to send this to the back and zoom into our point after we import it. So this is our point that we scaled from. So we need a reference line, so let's go ahead and create 2 new layers, 0, 0, 0, ground. Grid. So we know our points right now are at ground, so we're going to go ahead and go from this node to our project location node to increase our accuracy here. So we're going to set this. This is ground scale, and we actually need this, the inverse of our ground scale. Let's go ahead and isolate this layer. We'll make sure that we set this to 0 elevation. now we can switch over into our 3D modeling tab. We can add in a parametric constraint here to lock our base point location. And then we can do an aligned dimension that we'll use to reference our scale on our grid line. So if we switch over to our grid layer, then we can draw a line here, go back to parametric constraint, say that these two endpoints are coincident. So when you drag the points around, then it'll force those two to be coincident no matter what. And then last, choose here, and we'll go near to put the point on line, and then we will choose coincident once again. Choose the endpoint of the grid line, and then we will hit arrow down, object, green line, and now if we move our green line, the red line has to move. So what we're going to do is do another aligned constraint, and we'll set our ground scale factor here. So we'll equals this times, and then open parentheses, 1 divided by the thing that we had. So then we go in reverse to get to grid. Now we can double check that our scaling worked correctly and our object isolation. Now that we have all of that set, then we can switch back over into our Civil3D, scale out. Generally what I like to do is, so we've got our images, and we're going to scale our images from the endpoint, and then reference our endpoint there, scroll over to our grid point. So we're at ground right now, so our image is at grid, and we need to go to ground. So now if we check a target location, our image should be scaled correctly. So the visual reference checks perfectly. So this is how to have a grid data set without having to manipulate and translate your images. And so once you verify, then xreference, we'll go ahead and bind and insert. Now just explode and turn off your image frame. Set your units back to US survey feet. And publish. And I package these up because if you don't, and then somebody uses it wrong or uses the images not scaled correctly, then that is why I package everything and make it into one deliverable. That's it. Thanks for tuning in.